Hello everyone, welcome to Forever Football on Forever Sports for today's Match Day 9 preview of the English Premier League. A very, very interesting weekend because it's the big Liverpool versus Manchester United clash. The clash that so many fans sort of wait every year to sort of see, and a bit of an interesting one because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is once again kind of fighting for his managerial career at Manchester United. Despite, getting some pretty big victories, pretty late in the likes of Villarreal and even this week up against Atalanta in the Champions League, under a lot of pressure in terms of the way that Manchester United are currently performing. Definitely not sort of like out of the title race or anything like that, but just everyone can kind of agree that there just seems to be something wrong. That defeat against Leicester last weekend kind of sort of laid bare the massive issues that remain at Manchester United. But it's one of those things. We all know how good Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United tend to be whenever they sort of in this situation. So a massive game for them this weekend. But some big potential movements in the league and stuff like that. And some very cool matches to keep an eye on. Before we look at some of the matches, the form, fixtures and stuff like that and what to look forward to, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, if we look at the log, this is how things currently stand. You've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City up there in the top three. Now, if we're looking at those three, I think those three are probably the favourites, and 1 point between, first, second, 1 point between second and third. But the big opportunity for Chelsea, with Liverpool having Manchester United, potential sort of banana skin. But after that, it gets quite interesting, with Brighton and Spurs both on 15 points, Manchester United 14, already 5 points off the top of the table, which is why the sort of pressure is growing on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And if they were to lose this weekend, for example, then suddenly Liverpool go up to 21 points, Manchester United would stay on 14, and that'd already be 7 points off. At least 7 points off the lead. If Chelsea were to win, they were to lose, and suddenly you could be seeing the 8 points off the league, and it will only still be October. So that's why the sort of the pressure is mounting. You look at that sort of recent form of a loss, draw, or loss. The last time Manchester United won was 4 games ago. Chelsea obviously having after that bit of a slip there, have gone on to win 2 games, and Liverpool, Manchester City in very, very good form, as is Brighton, sort of continue to sort of shock everybody. And then at the bottom of the table, Burnley, Newcastle, Norwich. Now Newcastle, have with the sale having gone through, Steve Bruce actually being sacked yesterday, so still haven't announced a new manager. The big thing for them is survival, isn't it? With the new manager, with the new owner and so much money that could be put into this club, the big thing is they've got to try and survive the season. Otherwise, the entire takeover kind of sort of falls flat into nothing, because they end up with the richest owners in world football in the championship, which is not what they want to be. Elsewhere, Arsenal have looked a lot better until they came up against Crystal Palace, so they're sitting at 12th, so still haven't quite broken to that top 10. West Ham are having a very decent season, sitting there joined on points with Everton and Manchester United, having a very good Europa League campaign so far and full of confidence. The likes of Brentford still sitting in the top 10. Everton, a big blow, Dominic Calvert-Lewin being ruled out for a couple of weeks. And then something like the likes of Leeds probably disappointing a little bit. Norwich are being very Norwich at the moment, and Burnley have had decent performances, but just can't seem to manage to get any sort of results at the moment. But in terms of the fixtures for the weekend and what we have to look forward to, this is what we've got. So we've got Arsenal and Aston Villa. That is tonight. This is just by date at the moment. So if we go by round 9 over here, this is what we've got this weekend. We've got Arsenal taking on Aston Villa tonight in the first game of the season. Now, this should be an interesting match. Now, if you're looking at the sort of the odds there, I don't think 4.2. I think that's quite harsh on Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa have got a side where when they want to sort of really go on and try and do something, I think they're a side that can take on the best. But Arsenal are looking a lot better. Did struggle against Crystal Palace and needed a last-minute equaliser from sort of Lacazette. But it's starting to sort of fall into place a little bit with Mikel Arteta. For Aston Villa, this is sort of how you can expect them to go. Danny Ings under a bit of pressure after sort of starting pretty well for Aston Villa. A couple of calls saying that starting to struggle a little bit. Some very, very big players in the likes of Leon Bailly, Matty Cash currently doubtful. For Arsenal, no Xhaka, Martinelli and Saka. Saka also a bit of a doubt, will be a huge loss for them if they can't get him fit. And then tomorrow, the early kickoff will be Chelsea taking on Norwich. Expect a very, very straightforward victory for Chelsea. You're looking at the odds here, and it kind of tells you the story, doesn't it? In terms of injury news and players missing, no Lukaku for this weekend, no Werner and no Pulisic. But it's such a big and deep squad for Chelsea. They shouldn't have any issues. And for Norwich, no Billy Gilmore, which is quite a big loss for them. But apart from that, it's just a side which keeps coming up the Premier League and struggling and not being able to sort of ever look like they ever belong here, isn't it? Then Crystal Palace take on Newcastle. Now, I think that this will be a very tough match for Newcastle. Now, often teams, when a manager gets sacked, respond very well to that sacking because the players, these Newcastle players, literally, these Newcastle players need to go on and prove that it was not the manager. That it was the manager that was the issue, not the players. So often you see a big bounce when a manager does get the sacking. So expect Newcastle to respond quite well. However, Crystal Palace, I've been very impressed with what they're doing under Patrick Vieira. They're playing a very nice brand of football. The likes of Edouard's looking very good. Wilfried Zaha, Jordan Ayew. It's a very nice front three. And I think that Patrick Vieira is putting together quite a nice little side here, even with the likes of Eze out. They're playing some very, very nice football. And you can see odds-wise, Palace are favoured to win. But sort of struggling to get that result. They've had some very good performances. But can't always get that result. But Newcastle's form recently has been pretty woeful. Everton versus Watford, again, should be a pretty straightforward game for Everton. No Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You'll see that he's out for quite a while, which is a big loss. And they still don't have the likes of Fabian Delph. Richarlison and Decoria doubtful. Gylfi Sigurdsson continues to be embattled in legal issues. And then no Andre Gomez. And then for Watford, no Eto'o, no Capestello, no Nkulu is probably quite a big one. No Josh King. But you're looking at the sort of odds again. You expect Everton to do pretty well, and I don't think they will slip in this sort of game. Leeds versus Wolves should be quite an interesting game, and the odds sort of say that should be quite an even game. Leeds have been quite disappointing this year, but they're a side which always look like they've got goals in them, doesn't it? And Wolves started a bit slowly, but now sort of really picking up some decent form. So, the likes of Adama Traore is just leading the sort of dribbling stats. I think he's got 52 or 55 dribbles or something like that, which is more than Arsenal had the entire season. So that's the kind of form he's in, and he just hasn't been able to sort of add goals to his game. For Leeds, the likes of Dan James still not quite settling in. So, Rodrigo's your big goal threat there. No Patrick Bamford, no Luke Ayling as well, or Koch or Junior Firpo. So a couple of players missing there for Leeds. For Wolves, it comes down to whether Adama Traore can start converting his chances. He's creating so much. He's dribbling so well. And if him and Raul Jimenez can start that sort of combination that they had 2 seasons ago, where they pretty much combined for the most Premier League goals in the league, that'll go a long way towards getting Wolves back on track. Now, Southampton versus Burnley. Southampton have been quite disappointing this season, and I think definitely sort of feeling the lack of Danny Ings and trying to sort of sort out that sort of striker issue. Burnley have been pretty torrid, to be perfectly honest, and Sean Dyche, has never ceased to be under pressure because everybody what he's done for the club. But definitely need to start sort of turning those into results, or else they do legitimately face a very possible potential relegation. For Southampton, just Jack Stevens missing them. For Burnley, just Dale Stevens. So, pretty much full strength sides for both managers to be able to pick from. Brighton versus Manchester City. Now, you go back a year or two ago, and there should have been a very straightforward victory for Manchester City. And I think that the odds aren't really respecting the form that Brighton have actually shown. Because under Graham Potter, they're playing some brilliant football. You look at this, and they've won they haven't lost the game in the last 5. So their form's actually pretty similar to City. It's just 2 points behind them. But it is City at the end of the day. And look, no Welbeck. But apart from that, a pretty strong side that Graham Potter should be able to put out. For Manchester City, we don't know if this will be the side because, Pep Roulette loves to change things. But it's just always such a strong side. And I think that this is a major opportunity for them to try and they can't really afford to slip up. They slip up one game, and Chelsea, you've got pretty much a walkover, taking on the likes of Norwich, and start sort of building that lead. And it's just all about pressure at the end of the day. Brentford taking on Leicester. This should also be a fantastic game. I think 2 teams which are very well disciplined, very well coached. The odds they're respecting that fact. Ivan Toney looks very, very at home in the Premier League. And, even on Gareth Southgate's radar, he's come out and said that they've been watching him and they think he could be a potential England international quite soon. For Leicester, they look fantastic against Manchester United last weekend. Just sort of a never say die attitude, some really big performances. Jamie Vardy is always a goal threat. And they're sort of managing to cope a little bit with Wilfred Ndidi because Yuri Tielemans is just in some sublime form at the moment. So this should be one of the better games to watch this weekend. West Ham versus Spurs is also a huge, huge game. West Ham actually back to do the business. West Ham at home makes a big difference. As I said, they're coming off a really, really good victory in the Europa, and they look so solid. So, pretty much at full strength at West Ham at the moment. Not too many players missing for them. For Spurs, Harry Kane got back onto the score sheet, so it looks like he's starting to build himself up to form. Heung-min Son he's just a phenomenal player. I don't think anyone ever realized or ever expected him to go on to be this good. But Tanguy and Ndombele is looking a lot better this season. Seems to be sort of settling. Dele Alli also being a lot more involved. So look, it's been a tough start for Nuno Espirito Santo, but he can very, very quickly turn it around. I mean, he still is quite high on the log, but hasn't quite been sort of the Spurs start that they would have wanted. And then finally, the big match, Manchester United versus Liverpool. And the big news is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirming that Bruno Fernandes is actually a doubt for this weekend. Did pick up a bit of a knock, was limping in training, so he might not be available for this weekend. Marcus Rashford also getting a bit of a dead leg in their Champions League victory over Atalanta, so potentially a doubt. For Liverpool, it's just Thiago that they're missing, so they'll go full strength. Mohamed Salah in unbelievably good form. Cristiano Ronaldo, once again, the saviour this weekend. Expect to see the McFred combination, which a lot of Manchester United fans don't like. But, at home, United have to pitch up, and they genuinely often do pitch up. When they're under pressure, when it's sort of Schalke's feeling the heat, it would almost be as unsurprising to see Manchester United lose as it would be to win. Form-wise, and the way that both teams are playing, Liverpool should win this game, I think. But you just can't write off Manchester United whenever Schalke's under pressure. They always seem to go on these runs. So it should be a very interesting game. We will be live for this game. The plan for this weekend is to do several rugby watch-alongs, and then we're going to be moving from a Saracens versus Wasps watch-along straight into the Manchester United versus Liverpool game. So you can come and join us for that as well. Let me know what your predictions are for this weekend in the Premier League. Let me know which your favorite team and which games you are looking forward to watching. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.